The 2020 Clemson plan has been remodeled to heavily include graduate student involvement and research. What will each one of you do to hold Clemson to that 2020 plan?
Okay, I guess I'll start. Okay. First of all, for that plan, Clemson University should invest the graduate students. How they will do it? They need to spend money. They need to get rid of that fees in our tuition, so we can have more economically stable life. When you don't think about your economic issues, you will more focus on your research, and then which will help Clemson University to success that plan. This is what I think. Sorry.
Okay. So the 2020 plan has been remodeled to benefit the graduate students. So two major areas that I want to target in that plan would be to enhance the student quality and performance, and to provide engagement and leadership opportunities to all students. Now, by enhancing student quality and performance, I want to implement a diversity enrollment plan. So not only in terms of geographic diversity, we should have enrollments for students who are diverse in terms of their focus areas as well as the geographic areas. And to support them, we should have faculty available at Clemson University to help support them. And then providing better services to international students. Now, there is a strong need for a position of student affairs to be available to international students, to whom they can go and talk about anything they want when they don't know who else to go to. So I'll be a strong advocate of creating that position in student affairs. I want to create better services on other satellite campuses in terms of immigration support and the related services, because that's only available on our main campus. But students in Greenville, a lot of international students there, they need those services. So it's difficult for them to come all the way here, and with the time constraints and the limited time they can come and talk to an advisor, I think it would be so much beneficial if they have that facility there on site. In addition to that, our 2020 plan, it focuses on improving the quality of life and graduate student support. To do that, we need money. So I'll push to increase the graduate student stipend. To make our university a truly research-based university, we need to have more research-based events on campus. I am a strong advocate of that. I think we should have more faculty-student dialogues like we started this semester. This was a very good thing, and I plan to continue in the future. One last thing that I want to include here would be to connect industry to research. So that I plan to do by collaborating with different academic departments on campus, and through means of conferences or talks or even industrial visits. That would be a very good way to connect our research with the industry. Now, this was all about enhancing the student quality. Now I come to providing engagement and leadership opportunities to all students. Now, my role as a peer involvement consultant is to help my fellow graduate students, that based on my immense experience that I've gained in working for so many different areas on campus, I can actually consult them based on their priorities, that what on-campus involvement opportunity would be most suited for them. So it gives me a chance to help them get involved more on campus. So yeah, this is all from my side. Thank you.
Coming from a student affairs background, I have already made many connections with directors of university housing and dining, counseling services, again, Center for Student Life. I see where we lack in providing services for our students. With the 2020 plan, we want to create a perfect vision. I'm not trying to complain, but I want to make sure that all our Black students are supported. There aren't many services on this campus to really cater to us. The majority of these services are catered to undergraduate students. And I feel like, I keep repeating what I'm saying, but it's the truth. It's the truth. We don't have a lot of opportunities to move forward. Many times, we come to Clemson University to get that degree, but we don't come over here to be part of the Clemson family. And that's an important factor that a lot of higher education student affairs professionals aren't seeing. They're not seeing that we don't feel a part of this. And if we don't feel a part of this, we can't be committed into the 2020 plan. I want to be able to create transparency amongst all our graduate students, create forms, create a suggestion box, create something in order to make sure we hear what you all do. And I feel afterwards that I'm coming to student affairs background. I know I'll be probably stepping on toes talking to these administrators, but I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to sacrifice potentially my professional life to ensure that you guys will be supported 100% of the way.
Yeah, speaking of the Clemson community, I read an article in the Timer today about the way graduate students don't feel like they're part of the community, and that's wrong, and that needs to change. I think a huge part of encouraging the administration to proceed with the promises they've offered in the 2020 plan is to continually remind them of the value that we provide to this university. And we need to stand up. I was talking to someone in my department the other day, and he said, it's this mind, he's not from here, and he's like, you have a mindset here, like you should just be grateful for whatever table scraps you get. And that's wrong, because we're valuable. And we need to continually, and whoever's the president needs to continually work to remind the administration, we have value. And this is what we provide to the university. How much do you pay a graduate student to pay a class? Well, how much would you have to pay a professor to do the same job? We need to bring to their minds real world ideas of what we save them and what we do for them and what they get from us and how little they give in return. And that needs to be a continued mantra until they hear it. Because thus far, they don't really seem to hear it.
I have a question about the Anderson campus. I don't know if you have any plan for that because I have a friend who's there and she has two major complaints. The first one is the dining. They don't have any form of dining. I think the only dining they have is once a week on Wednesdays. The caterer comes in and supplies food, but that's the only time you have. You have to bring your own lunch or stay hungry or something. The second issue that she complained about was the fees she pays in her tuition, like fines and a couple of other things that they don't get to benefit from because they live in Anderson, they campus almost all day, and they hardly come here to the main campus. So do you have any idea or way to go about that? Any plans for that?
Before you get to that, your placard. Thank you.
Talking about Anderson campus service, right?
No, campus.
Oh,
It's
campus,
the
Anderson
Anderson, it's called AMRI,
Yes.
Institute for Research People. Some department will share it, like chemistry or material science, but not always, not all of them. The department will share it.
So I guess the overarching is how are you going to extend the services that are provided here at Clemson to these off-campus locations?
But I think, see, I too have a lab at Anderson Research Park. I work in C3D, that's there, and I understand that's a problem because what we have for snacks there is just the vending machine. And that to just a drink vending machine in one center and a snack vending machine in the other center. So you have to walk between two centers. That is an issue, and I agree with that. What I heard recently, it may not be true, but they were planning to have some kind of development happen in that entire region. They're planning to come up with some facilities that can serve as where students can go and get food or their lunch. So some kind of a cafeteria setting instead of just vending machines. If it's not true, then I'm definitely pushing for that. The second thing would be to have a better connectivity between the two campuses. We do have shuttles running between Anderson and Clemson, and the frequency is also pretty good. I think it's every half an hour. But to improve that, what we can do is to increase the hours, because as graduate students, we work there for really odd hours of the day, but the shuttle is not working during those hours. So another step would be to increase the time that the shuttle operates between the Anderson campus and the Clemson University, so that students can at least make use of that shuttle, go on to the campus, get something, and then come back to Anderson. So this is an interim plan before we get the cafeteria in Anderson. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I was see. Cool. Anthony, I was like, yes. Okay. So no, I don't have a specific answer. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna try to run around. Politician. That's not what I'm gonna do. But you know, Dr. Hamilton, Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs here, and also the main person in charge of University Housing and Dining. You know, as a person who kind of has some kind of experience in the dining portion, we had no idea this was. So no, I can't come up with an immediate response. I can't come up with an immediate answer. No, I can't do that. There's not a right answer to that. But what I will promise to make sure that you know the person who works or who studies in that department is fully supported and is heard. Because what we pride ourselves in is making sure that all our students are part of the university and being fully supported. As soon as I hear that she was suffering through this, that's an issue. We shouldn't have any, you know, graduate students already have a multitude of problems, whether it's fighting, maybe family trouble, a lot of sacrifices, health issues. The last thing we want to do is make sure our students are home. So I appreciate you bringing this up. I'll make sure that she's going to support the right person. So,
My first thought when you talk about this is, I'm thinking about what we've done with Greenville, and it's so exciting. And I think we need to have a similar kind of deal with Anderson. You guys need to have a council yourselves, and you guys need to have a voice in the Senate as well, because that's a start. Before you can accomplish fixing anything, you have to have a voice. And so I think it's very important that we make sure that the students at Anderson have a voice in the Senate, just like the students in Greenville will now have a voice in the Senate. And when problems like this, I personally don't know what's being done as far as trying to get food on the campus at Anderson, but when a student comes to me with that kind of problem, if I was president, the first thing I would do is begin looking into it and see what we can do to fix it. Or at least try to find the people that would know how to find the right people to make it work. Because as president, you can't do everything. And that kind of goes to my leadership style. I believe I can't do everything, but I can find brilliant people who can do those things that I can't do.
I'm aware of the both problems. I want to answer the second question first. About the fees, I have already proposed fee-free tuition. So for the first question, that problem exists not only in Anderson, in all our old removed campuses like Greenville and Charleston. So I have a friend who recently started working in Anderson campus. He's sitting over there at the corner, Farhad. He doesn't have a car, but during the lunch hours, he has to travel over here. I'm sorry. He really struggles. So there is no cafeteria, nothing. As Gunit said, just vending machines, which is not enough. So there are two options. What we can do, what we can push to Clemson officials to do is either increase the shuttle services, like especially during the lunch hours, like express shuttles to downtown or where they can eat, or build a cafeteria over there. So cafeteria can sell not just only coffee, but some healthy food. Thank you.
My name is Fawaz, I'm a math PhD student. My question, many international students, including myself, have their families with them. I'm kind of sad because I spend most of my time on campus and leave my family in the home. I think the university has to design kind of activities to get them involved in the society. My question, is that a point in your list or not? Thank you.
Sure. So we don't have a strong, we don't have strong emphasis on family aspect for graduate students. Previously, we did have graduate student family housing at Clemson University, but unfortunately, not many students were buying into these homes, and it kind of went away. I remember seeing a couple of events this past year where they tried to incorporate the family portion. We understand you're hardworking individuals, and you not only support yourself through academia, as well as your family, and that could be a hard issue. What I can say is that there are many student activity programs through campus nights that we can start incorporating family. And we can start making sure we make events a little bit more family friendly. We can bring out some bounce houses. We can make all those possibilities and opportunities. Because the last thing we want to do is come home and then, after a long day, and they stay there. It hurts. It hurts honestly, and I know it does. So I promise I will work with the campus executive board student activities to ensure that they start formulating programs that cater more to the family aspect, because it's important to you, it's important to us.
You raised a very valid point, and I thank you for doing that. The family aspect has been our prime concern while serving on the International Student Association. Now, you will notice that all our events are family friendly, and we do have family participation in our events. Recently, we organized a spring break trip to Charleston, and we did have a few families come over with their kids. So it was a very good gathering, and we did have a good time. Other than that, we've organized some picnics on the lakes nearby, where again we see families come over and with their kids and have a really good time. So I'd recommend continuing such activities so that the students can bring their families. It need not be in a bar setting, in downtown or anything. It can be in a nature setting where kids can enjoy, they will play around, and very conducive to bring along the family. So that would be my recommendation.
I had actually recommended to the student government this year, we have a wonderful Clemson Beach. And I had said, at the end of the year, why don't we have a party with maybe a barbecue or something where everybody can bring their families? And that would be a wonderful outing that we could do. There is no reason why a couple times a semester we can't have nice family-style outings. There are all kinds of natural settings around here, state parks we can go to. Even bringing them here to the botanical gardens this spring. It would be wonderful to have everybody bring their children to walk them through the botanical gardens and then maybe have a picnic afterwards. These are the kinds of things that we can absolutely do. And like I said at the beginning, my friend Jordan, very concerned about having family-friendly events, very concerned about having child care. Why can't we have a spot on campus where our children can come and be watched after, and when we have some time in our research, we can go by and see them and check on them and see that everything is going well. These are things that could be done and should be done.
Thank you, Thomas, for bringing that issue here. Most of the international students here at Clemson, I know they're shy. They're shy to go out, engage with the people. They only engage with the people who they know. Like Gunit has already said, they have done events at the International Student Association. So we have also event as Turkish Student Association. We have families coming even from Greenville. What I believe is if we support the graduate student associations, so they will have more social life, they will have more involvement with the graduate students. So this way, in just supporting the graduate student association, we can fix this problem. Thank you.
Yes, I have a question. I've been here 6 years at Clemson University, seeing many projects from different presidents and a variety of things, from undergrad and graduate. A lot of the proposals you made are very costly. A lot of them. Everyone's throwing out, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. As president, you're not going to be able to make all those things happen. So please tell me the number one thing that you'd like to see happen in your presidency. I also like to make a motion to limit debate from each candidate to 3 minutes.
Second.
Motion carries.
I'm up, okay. I think, let's see, when I'm thinking about funding, there is already funding available for fixing the problems with handicap accessibility. As a matter of fact, under IDEA, which is the national law that says that everybody has the right to have accessibility, those funds are available. So there's really no excuse on campus for us to have elevators that don't have the grade, for us to have ramps that are too steep, because there is federal funding to fix those problems. So there are other things on my agenda that are really important that I would like to push for, but if you're going to talk about the one thing that I am absolutely certain that I can do, because I know the funding is there, making sure that this campus is fully accessible for all students is absolutely doable because the federal funds are there to support that.
Sorry, before we continue, can you please all be respectful of our candidates and not talk over them while they're speaking? Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Parker. First thing I will address is tuition fees. I know it is costly when you consider the amount of the graduate students. However, I'm telling we are not cheap workforce. We are engineers, we are teachers, we are mathematicians. We deserve better life. So I will address, first thing first, I will address tuition fees. Thank you.
I've pointed out a few things under diversity and inclusion and benefits for minority students and international students on campus. Now, these are the things that I've been engaged with through my years in the cabinet, and this is an ongoing process. So this is something that I'm still doing. The new thing from my side would be to involve our alumni association when it comes to funding, in terms of like organizing fundraisers with them, asking them for donations to increase our professional enrichment grant funding. The second avenue in which we can make use of our alumni association is to have them serve as host families for new incoming international students. Now, this job has been done by communities, and international students have a concern that most of them are from church, and they feel that they pressurize themselves towards conversion. But if this thing is coming from an alumni who has been Clemson graduate, they would feel more comfortable in approaching them and they can help them out better. And my second major point would be to provide tutoring services for graduate students through our Academic Success Center. Now, I've had some students come to me inquiring if there is such a service available. They feel pressurized, they're not able to cope with their work, but they have no one to go and ask help for. So this is another thing, that if they have tutoring service at Academic Success Center, these students can benefit from that and have a much enriching Clemson experience. Thank you.
Myself, I like to create consistency within graduate student government. As an undergraduate, I was like the senior class president, and it was consistent for 10 plus years. Yet every single year, the new president always wanted to bring in something new. The new executive board wanted to do something spectacular, one up the previous executive board. But that's not how it should be. We should be able to work on the missions and goals of what we set out to do before us. With the president, I don't want to bring in my own personal agenda. I want to make sure that we do what the community wants. I want to help create a 2020 perfect vision. I want to make sure we set ourselves up for the next 5 years to ensure that we are creating an environment that's very stable and making sure that we come up with transition plans for senators, for members of the executive branch, so that they're not having to come in and relearn everything and figure out how does everything work. So instead of spending more than half the semester finally understanding how my job works and how I can better execute my job, instead it will be an easier transition and they'd be able to be more quickly thinking. Because let's be honest, 1 year isn't enough time to make change. It's 1 year is enough to do a big project. That's many PhD candidates know 1 year is not enough. So what I want to do is help create a transition program. I want to help create consistency with graduate students. Through that, we will be able to empower ourselves, empower each other to do more and go beyond the college students.
Any other questions?
Come on.
I have a question on something that's sort of brought up before in Senate, and it's communications. We've had some debate over what we should be doing, what's good, what's bad. I was wondering what your opinions are on what we've done in the past and how you foresee the future changing or not changing.
Can I have the question again? Sorry.
Well, basically, like the communication of the graduate student government to all graduate students.
How we are going to engage the graduate student government with the graduate student?
Just all communications.
Okay,
Right now, I know right here who's the communications chair, did a lot of work for it. So it's kind of your ideas on what are the best ways that we should be engaging our graduate student body
Okay. Like, my main idea is, I'm repeating again and again, but I'll tell you again, because it is important. I believe we can increase the communication through the graduate student associations. How we can do this, most of the graduate student organizations, they don't have any office rooms. They don't have any work environment to improve the social life, to improve the communication here. So again, giving them the opportunity, work environment, funding, we will have better communication, better understanding, better active social life here at Clemson. I hope I can answer you.
That was a very good question and a very valid point. Communication is extremely important in successful running of any organization, and this being a graduate student government, communication is of vital importance. Thank Allison for doing an incredible job with that communication. He's come up with an excellent plan that we've been implementing, and it has led to a good success in terms of our outreach. So I plan to continue with that and further develop that. And also understand that we have an intern working for us, just taking care of communications. The other big thing that I want to do is, which again is in talks and is in process, is to develop our GSG website to serve as a central hub for information from different areas around campus and in the community, specifically targeting off-campus housing, because that is a place where graduate students find it difficult when they go outside. They are promised something, but they end up getting something else. So if we can have that kind of a central location, a central hub for healthy campus, ready for housing, Michelin Career Center, academic departments, dining services, and so on, I think that would be very beneficial for a graduate student to explore these options from a central site.
Well, you brought up a great topic that has been an issue with graduate student government and just many different organizations for a long time. I think communication is a hard thing. It is not a one-person job. Especially with the small space we have currently within the union. It's not a place that's really welcoming to share ideas, to find people, because there's not always numbers there. I work with fraternity sororitas here on campus, and I work at the Ghent Center. And sometimes, I have graduate students coming to our little graduate pad. I don't know if they're familiar with that. And they kind of ask us questions about graduate student government, and sometimes we're just like, I have no idea. Communication is a key thing to ensure organizations and relationships move better and better each and every single day. Ideas on myself and my own personal beliefs, I want to help create a stronger social media presence. I want to create a safe space for graduate students that's larger than a 10 by 10. That way, I want to make sure that not only are you coming to us, but we can provide a location for you all to find us.
One thing, when I first took the position as a senator, I just immediately assumed that it was my job to type up what happened in Senate and send it to my constituents. And I was quite shocked when I found out that I was the first person in my department that thought to do that. I think we need to, the day after each Senate meeting, send the Senate notes out to every senator. And the senators need to be greatly encouraged to pass that information on to their constituents. You are not here for yourself. You are here representing your people. And in order to represent them well, you need to let them know what's happening. That really bothered me when I realized that people didn't do that as a matter of course. I also think at the beginning of every month, information should be sent out about all the coming events, and there should be a link in that email that a person can hit so they can go and they can click on which events they want to attend so that they will get an email reminder the day before. Because as a graduate student, we are all so busy, and there is so much on our plate. And there have been a couple of things this year that I really wanted to go to, and a couple of days afterwards I realized, oh, that already happened, and I missed it because I was just so busy. So I think that would be a great help to our constituents, and that's what it is supposed to be all about, is our constituents.
If you want me to give you a quick challenge by this, what issues do you see right now with communication with graduate student government?
I mean, the question that I was thinking mostly was that we had a debate over how many emails to send. What's too many, what's too little? Should emails be going from vice president or from senators or from Anderson's, I don't know what to call it, list? So that was my thought process.
All right, did everyone? All right, we'll do one more question and then we'll wrap it up. So, these are finished questions. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically I have like 3 questions like based on the platforms that you have given. The first thing is that as part of the international students, this year they started to have the international student fee, and I hope you are aware of that. How would you advocate for reducing that cost? That's my first part of the question. And the second is like, since the university is planning to add more fees, how are you advocating for a fee-free tuition? And the third part is the culture shock that as an international student that we face. I'm still terrified to talk about that. The issue that I personally faced was that I come from India and I'm an Hindu. So as soon as Guneet was talking about the conversion and all those things. So within the university campus, we are being forced, we are being asked about telling what is wrong with our religion and all those things. So how can we address those kinds of things? I'm not sure.
So first, regarding the international student fee. Now, yes, they did impose an international student fee, and they did give a pretty good description and reasoning behind it. The department is very pressed on funding and on its staff number. So the first thing, moving forward with the 2020 forward plan, would be to increase the number of advisors that are present there and get the funding from the university rather than students. And this extra money, like I said before, would be from the alumni association that I want to target when I'm the president, because that's a region that has still not been explored. So we should definitely do that. Go to the alumni association, ask for donations, organize fundraisers, so that the money comes from there, and we can hire more staff and provide better services for a reduced Then, what was the next one? It was the cultural shock, right? Yeah. Okay. So cultural shock, to deal with that, the first phase would be, and it is happening this time, it's a 2-part process. One is improving our international student orientation. So instead of having, sitting in a room, we're planning to extend it outside so that we can organize tours, so that we can take international students from one place to the other and show them where a particular thing is, what services are available to them in the library, at Redfern, so all those things. And the second part of that is to better improve the peer mentor program. So this past semester, it was the pilot stage of that program in which we grouped new incoming international students with the existing international students in their departments, so that these mentors can help them get acclimated to their programs, the surroundings, to help them with little things like where to go buy groceries or give them a ride if they need it sometime. So those 2 things, I think, if we continue developing them better, I think we'll be able to address, well, not completely, but at least make an attempt to alleviate some culture shock problems.
And I want to echo on the whole fees for international students. Even though there were a lot of great reasons for this fee, I believe if you have a reason that you need to question it, go ahead and do so. The biggest biggest advocates on campus are the students. If you see an issue worth fighting for, fight for it. Gather other students who feel like it's international fee may need to cut down on it. Because something we're seeing with the trend of student affairs is that we're asking more money from you, but not giving the same amount of funding back to our students. So something that I challenge you to do is to set up a task force, set up a committee
Actually, Senate already passed a resolution in support to have more budget to be brought, and they still increase it.
Right, no, but I'm not saying that we're not going to go ahead and increase, because it increased. You're challenging that you don't want to increase, is that what you're saying, correct? Yes, no, but what I'm advocating for you to do is to go ahead and challenge that. Just because it was amended one way doesn't mean it can't be amended again. So that's my only challenge for you. And then remind me of the second question, please.
The fee-free tuition.
Sorry?
The fee-free
I guess
tuition.
it was my question. When it comes to me, I will tell you.
But okay, I was like, whoa, I lost it. Right. No, but as far as the last part, the whole culture shock, we want to be able to be a little bit more inclusive with the Gant Center for Student Life. We try to embrace multiculturalism. However, I can only fathom having to, I myself, all I have to do is move to another state. Some students have to go ahead and move to different cities, move from coast to coast, and some have to leave the foreign lands and have to learn the tongue that's not familiar to them, the culture, and it's hard. And we've been talking with many student affairs professionals about an international transition program. Having a mentor with them, because it is not an easy task picking up everything, just dropping everything you have at home and coming to a new society that you're not familiar with. So those conversations aren't being had right now, and I want you to know that you're not the only one. But I do appreciate the concerns for it, because it is a truly valuable technology.
As far as the international fee, I actually was on the international website today and looking over it. I understand why they have to put it on there. I would certainly advocate it not going up anymore. And like he said, if they want to raise it again, organize. I worked for the Organizing for America. I was an intern one summer to learn to be a community organizer. And that's where President Obama started. Organize your community, organize your people. Get other people that believe like you do. Have a petition. Do a campaign. You have to fight. It's up to all of us to fight for the change we want to see. As far as the culture shock goes, I think that goes back to the program that I had suggested the partnership, so that it would be wonderful if when new international students come to campus, they could be paired with a student who's already here. Whether they speak the same language or not, if they speak the same language, it might be better. It might be a richer experience if they don't. That you could be together and you could explain to the person how this works. I've had international students say, I came here, I didn't know about a credit card. I didn't understand the bank card. There are so many small things that we take for granted in our day-to-day lives, in our day-to-day culture, that for people that live here are obvious. That to move here and to get your head wrapped around it, it must be mind exploding. Also, as far as the religious thing goes, I have ties with an organization in Greenville called the Interfaith Coalition. And there are members of that coalition about every religion you can imagine. And I have advocated to Ryan that we, someone said something? Okay. I had advocated to Ryan that maybe we should partnership with these guys. Because yes, as a Hindu, you should have a spiritual, if you feel like you need spiritual leadership, you should have somebody that you can turn to and talk. There are members of the International Coalition that are different Christian denominations, there are Muslims, there are Hindus, there are pagans, there are Wiccans, there are just any flavor you can imagine. They are on the Interfaith Coalition. And I think that would be a great resource for our partnership, and I absolutely believe in looking for every resource available and using them for the benefit of our students.
Thank you very much for the question, Madhavi. I have a really good answer for you. Look, are you aware of the construction going on campus? Just one construction, they're building dorms behind the Clemson House. Clemson University is going to spend $226 million for that project. Little John Coliseum Innovation, they are spending about $70 million. Building behind the library, they spend $30 million something dollars. They rebuilt the industrial engineering building, they spent $23 million. Here is the thing. We have about $500 something dollars, $583, like $600, let's call it $600 tuition fees in our tuition. Assume 1,000 graduate employees here, which makes $600,000 per semester. Let's make it $1.5 million per year. Compared to these investments, I think Clemson University should be smart and then invest the graduate students here. This is my answer. Thank you. Funding is not my issue. It's the university's issue. We are going to convince them because under these conditions we cannot live. Look, for 20-hour RA position, people getting paid in my department $1,200. $240 every 2 weeks is deducted from their salaries. And they pay rent, they have living expenses, they have cell phones, they may have a car, like, I make it minimum. They have $150, 1 month left for food, which makes $5 per day, which is not acceptable. If president or anyone else can live under these conditions, okay, I'm not gonna ask for fee-free tuition, but we needed that. People need it. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys very much.